So we're on line, we're ready to go. Okay. Aloha. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The regular meeting of the Leeward Planning Commission will now come to order. It's Thursday, August 15th, 2024, and the time is 9:30 a.m. The meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. I'd like to introduce the commissioners. We have Commissioner Clement C.J. Kanuha,
Aloha.
Commissioner Dean Au,
Good morning.
Commissioner Michael De La Cruz,
Good morning.
Commissioner Donna Kaneko Noborikawa,
Aloha.
and Commissioner Armando Rodriguez.
Good morning.
Vice Chair Mahina Paishan Duarte is absent and excused, and I am Chairperson Barbie DeFranco, and we have a quorum this morning to hold our meeting. From the Office of Corporation Counsel, we have Deanna Mellon Lacey.
Good morning.
We have Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell. And representing the Planning Department, we have Deputy Planning Director Jeffrey Darrow, who is present to advise the Commission. To comply with Sunshine Law. Commissioners, please confirm that you've had the opportunity to read the updated materials that were here today. I think you each got a sheet. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So everybody has confirmed they have read them. All right, so I'm noting that each commissioner has verbally confirmed they've had the opportunity to review the application materials and all submitted testimony. That's the next one, housekeeping. Please turn your cell phones off. Put them on silence. That was well timed. The public restrooms are located outside in the middle of the building on the Mackay side. If there's anyone here in person who would like to testify, please make sure that you fill out the yellow sign up that are over there on the staff table. Also, if you have any written testimony that has not been sent in, you may submit it to the staff now. Okay, so today we've got approval of minutes. We have to introduce the the June 20th, 2024 and the July 18th, 2024 minutes to be approved and ask if there's any corrections. I just want to mention that the minutes of the 2024 meeting need to be approved because the motion to approve these minutes at our June 18th meeting was never voted on.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. So I need a second. Thank you. So we have Commissioner Kanuha and Commissioner De La Cruz. It was moved by Commissioner Kanuha and seconded by Commissioner De La Cruz that the minutes of June 20th and 2024 and July 18th, 2024 be approved as circulated. Is there any discussion? No. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Turn your mics on and say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, thank you. All right. As it was stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called. Testifiers, I think we don't have any here, but I think we have someone on Zoom. So testifiers on Zoom, please keep your video camera off and audio muted until you are called by the Zoom host to speak. Please note this is an in-person meeting and the Zoom platform and YouTube live stream are provided as a courtesy. Therefore, our meeting will proceed if the Zoom and/or YouTube connections fail. Before we start to receive the public testimony, I just would like to remind everybody pursuant to Rule 1-5 of the Planning Commission's Rules of Practices and Procedures that everybody be courteous and respectful to all testifiers, staff, members, and commissioners. Please direct all testimony to me as the chair, and testimony will be limited to 3 minutes per testifier for each agenda item. Okay, so do we have anybody on Zoom that wants to speak now, or do they want to speak when their agenda item is called?
Hi, Chair. Yes, we have a Chuck Flaherty, which wants to testify at the beginning of the meeting.
Great. Hello, Mr. Flaherty. Will you raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth today in front of the Leeward Planning Commission?
I swear to tell the truth before the Leeward Planning Commission.
Thank you. And will you just state your name, what town you live in, and what agenda item you're speaking on? And you have 3 minutes.
Yes, Madam Chair. My name is Chuck Flaherty, Captain Cook, speaking on other items for the next meeting. So aloha, Madam Chair, aloha kakayaka, and members of the commission. Madam Chair, I submitted late written testimony to the Planning Commission, to the Leeward Planning Commission, and as well as to the Planning Director, with regard to an item that had been approved at your April 18th, 2024 meeting.
So Mr. Flannery, I think we're just speaking today on what's on our agenda today. And so
I'm speaking with regard to the items for the next meeting. I'm requesting that this item be placed on the next meeting because the item that passed in April breached a settlement agreement as well as was a violation of the general plan. So I'd like for it to be on the next agenda.
Okay, and you put that in writing? I don't know why.
Yes, but I submitted it late. I apologize. I tried to finish it up. So
Okay.
yes, it was submitted late, and I do, again, Madam Chair, I do
Okay.
apologize for that.
All right, so we will look at that and we will look at that, but we can't speak to that today. But if you have something that you want to speak to that we have on our agenda today, but we will look at your letter, Mr. Flattery, and we will address it. You will hear from us. I haven't even seen the letter, so.
I understand, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
So I can't allow it to proceed, I don't believe, but let me just check with, no, I can't allow it to proceed. I'm sorry.
That's fine. As long as it's placed on the next agenda, that would be fine with me. You have a very nice day
Thank
and hope you all have a good meeting. Mahalo.
Okay, aloha, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to new business then. We have to introduce agenda item number 1. So the applicant is Wadi Elizabeth Kaiokalani Green. This is an application for a change of zone from agricultural 20 to a family agricultural 1 acre zoning district for 4.985 acres of land. The subject property is located Mauka of Kamini Nani Drive on Old Government Mauka Road, approximately 800 feet south of its intersection with the Hawaii Belt Road at Kalaoa 5th, North Kona, Hawaii, TMK 7-3-004-011. The staff is going to give us a presentation by Ms. Camaro. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Leeward Planning Commission. Before you today, you have the Wadi Elizabeth Kaiokalani Green Changes Zone Application, PL-REZ 2024-58. The subject property is currently located 800 feet south of its intersection from Hawaii Belt Road within the Kalaoa 5th North Kona District on the leeward side of the island. It's shown on this map with the red star. The applicant's request is to do a change of zone from agricultural 20 acres to family agricultural 1 acre zoning district for approximately 4.985 acres of land. The primary purpose for this request is to create a 4-lot subdivision with lots of at least 1 acre in size. The applicant anticipates completing the proposed subdivision by the end of 2025 with an estimated cost of $50,000. The current zoning for the subject property, as shown on the map, is agricultural with a 20 acre. It's shown to you in the dark green. The parcel above it is agricultural with a 1 acre shown to you in the light green, and the parcel below it to the south is family agricultural with a 1 acre shown to you in the blue. There's also some agricultural properties across of Old Government Road, which also includes a commercial district, which is currently where Matsuyama Market is. And then across of Hawaii Belt Road, you have a mixture of RS20 zone properties, agricultural 5 acre properties, as well as agricultural 3 acre properties. The state land use designation for the subject property as shown to you in the red is agriculture. There is a portion of conservation that's located to the right on your screen. That is currently where one of the, there's a forest reserve above there. So that's where the conservation district is. And then across of the Hawaii Belt Road, you have an urban state land use urban shown to you in the pink. The LUPAG designation for the subject property is both low density urban shown to you in the golden rod, as well as important agricultural land shown to you in the light green. And then this subject portion is conservation, which is where the forest reserve is. The subject property is also located within the Kona CDP. The Kona CDP designates the subject property within the Kona urban area. In fact, this white line designates the Kona urban area as being partially in the urban, which is on the Makai portion, and partially in the rural, which is in the Mauka portion. Before you is the applicant's subject site plan. This shows the subject property, which again is 4.985 acres. There is also a property that bisects the subject property. As you can see, it's right in the middle. This is a parcel that's owned by the County of Hawaii Board of Water Supply. This creates a narrow strip of land which runs along the southern property line between two larger rectangle sections of the land. This is an aerial view of the subject property. You can see that there currently is a single family dwelling that the applicant resides in the front of the property. And this is Matsuyama Market, which is located southeast of the property, which was rezoned from agricultural 1 acre to CN20 in 1983. In addition, the property to the north, which is this parcel where the mouse is going right now, was rezoned from agricultural 20 acres to agricultural 1 acres in 1986, which resulted in a 5-lot subdivision. And the property right below it down here to the south was rezoned from agricultural 20 acres to FA 1 acres in 2015, which resulted in a 3-lot subdivision. This is a site photo of the subject property facing east. The photo you are looking at is looking at the subject property from Old Government Road. That shows the existing conditions of the driveway, as well as you can briefly see the single family dwelling that's located on the parcel. In addition, the photo to your left is a photo of the subject property from Old Government Road facing north. And the photo on the right is the subject of property from Old Government Road facing south. After meeting with the applicant and going over the conditions, we did come to an understanding that this condition for water should be revised. So the director and staff worked with the applicant to come up with a condition that would be suitable for the applicant. So we are proposing that we revise condition D to include that the applicant shall install a private pump and storage system to increase water pressure to each of the proposed lots. And if required by water supply, execute an out-of-bounds agreement and elevation agreement. Additionally, if a variance is required by the subdivision code, the applicant shall apply and receive approval of such. That concludes my presentation. Oh, the planning director is currently recommending a favorable recommendation with conditions. And that concludes my presentation, and I can turn it back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to, do we have any questions at this time for? Yes, Commissioner Noribora.
Thank you, Chair DeFranco. Ms. Kamaro, exhibit number 7 in the report, the background report, is a letter from the state DOT that commented that it, quote, requires the proposed development does not provide landscape and vegetation that will create a wildlife attractant, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't find that in the conditions for this permit. Is that something that the county, I came from a different jurisdiction, so I don't know exactly, what this county does or does not do. Is that something that Hawaii County does not need to include? That exhibit number in the recommendation or the background report is on page number 57.
That specific condition that was brought up in DOT, I'm not very familiar with what needs to be done as far as what DOT will require for that. However, within the conditions of the proposed conditions that we have given out to you, condition O states that the applicant's successors or assigns shall comply with all applicable county, state, and federal laws, rules, regulations, and requirements. So that will require the applicant to comply with any requirements that DOT will have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I'd like the applicant's presentation. So the applicant and the representative will please come forward. Good morning.
Morning.
Will you show her how to turn her mic on? Yeah. Okay, good.
Aloha.
Aloha, yeah. So I'm just gonna
Morning.
swear you in. So I just want you to raise your right hand and affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Leeward Planning Commission.
I do.
Okay. Then you speak directly into the microphone, state your name and the town you reside in and whom you represent.
Morning, Chair DeFranco, members of the Leeward Planning Commission. Thank you for being here today. My name is John Pippin with Land Planning Hawaii, here assisting Ms. Green to my left with her application. I live in Honoka'a.
I just wanted to make sure you've received all the background and the recommendation reports from the planning department and that you agree with the recommendations and the addition of the condition on the water pump. Okay.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate the extra work that went into crafting the revised condition, and the entire application presentation was very well done. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. We agree with all of it.
And do you have any more information for us or further comments?
Certainly. Driving in from Hamakua this morning, I was really struck by the beauty of our island and how fortunate we are to be here and how grateful I am, and I think we all are, to be able to live here. Lucky we live Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone is in the same situation. A lot of local families are having tough times and being forced out of Hawaii, being forced to move. Housing is hard to come by, and it's a dream that's fading for a lot of people. So what we're proposing to do today is to help this local family to provide homes for themselves, to provide that dream that we all strive for, and we're very fortunate if we are able to attain that and hold on to it. So it's been a long time coming for this family, and I've only been involved with it for the last 2-3 years. And a lot of that time was spent working with Department of Water Supply, getting an agreement for those additional water units to be made available. Water controls, development controls housing here on our island. So we're very grateful to the work done by the Department of Water Supply and agreeing to provide those water units. And we spent a little extra time and effort in crafting that revised condition D that would make this a reality, would make it actually possible for the applicant to subdivide and have homes for her family on this property. So essentially that condition now allows for the applicant to provide a tank and a pump for each of the new lots that would increase the water pressure to standard levels, because the issue with the county's water system in this area is not one of capacity, it's not one of supply, it's just the elevation of the use of the property. it doesn't meet their standard of pressure. This is exactly what happened on the property to the south that was rezoned and subdivided. They each installed tanks and pumps in order to boost the pressure. So essentially, that's what we're trying to do here. If you have any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Okay. Did you want to say something too, or? No?
We're
You're
good.
good, okay.
Because I'm just gonna start
great,
crying, so sorry.
okay. And I don't think we have
Don't
any
mean to do
public
that.
testimony then.
Yeah, he did it. He's doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Okay, so if we don't have any testimony, all right. Thank you for your presentation. There's no questions.
I want to make a motion.
Oh, yes, I was.
We're ready to
Call
go.
For that, thank you. Commissioner Kumar.
I want to make a favorable recommendation with conditions. I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on application for change of zone. Docket number PL-REZ 2024-00058 based on the planning director's recommendations, which shall be adopted.
Do I need a second, please?
Second.
Okay, so it was moved by Commissioner Kanuha and seconded by Commissioner De La Cruz that a favorable recommendation be given. Do we have any discussion on this? Commissioner Noribora Kawa?
So does the recommendation include this change, the amended condition?
Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, then I think we're going to go for a roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you. So the motion is on the floor to forward a favorable recommendation to the county council to also incorporate the revised recommendation as recommended by the planning director for condition D. Commissioner Kanuha,
Aye.
Commissioner De La Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Au,
Aye.
Commissioner Noborikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chair DeFranco.
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much. Oh, with one commissioner excused and absent.
Thank you.
Mahalo
Thank-
to all of you.
Yeah,
God bless you all. Thank you.
thank you, and you too. You'll be notified of the commission's decision in writing.
Yeah, now you're with the county council. Mahalo.
Okay. Ms. Camara, will you just turn, oh,
Tracy.
we'll just leave that on then. Will you just push that one off? Thanks. Okay, at the end, we're going to introduce agenda item number 2 now. This is the applicant Roger Jensen, PLUSE 2024-000025. This is an application for a use permit to operate a 4-bedroom bed and breakfast establishment within an existing 5-bedroom dwelling situated on approximately 7,501 square feet of land within the agricultural 5 zoning district. The subject property is located at 75-241 Aloha Kona Drive, approximately 800 feet west of the intersection of Aloha Kona Drive and Queen Kahumanu Highway, Aloha Kona Subdivision, Kailua Kona, Hawaii TMK 3, 7-5-023005. So we're going to have a staff presentation by Mr. Kala. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. As the Chair stated, this is an application for a use permit. Thank you. The subject property is located in the North Kona district of Hawaii Island, more specifically in the Aloha Kona subdivision on Aloha Kona Drive, Makai of Queen Kahumanu Highway in Kailua Kona. The applicant is requesting a use permit for a 4-bedroom bed and breakfast establishment within an existing 5-bedroom single-family dwelling on a portion of a 7,501 square foot parcel of land. Overnight accommodations will be available to a maximum of 10 guests. The B&B will be operated by a live-in caretaker who will live in the 5th bedroom. There are 5 designated on-site parking stalls. 4 stalls are located in the driveway and 1 stall is located in the garage. Access will be via Aloha Kona Drive, which is a county-owned and maintained road. The applicant's stated purpose of request is the applicant would like to enhance economic opportunities for himself and his employees while also encouraging a harmonious visitor experience that is in keeping with the surrounding residential uses. Here is the county zoning map. Again, for reference, the subject property outlined in red is located on Aloha Kona Drive. The subject property and much of the surrounding area is zoned agricultural, 5 acres as indicated by the green color. Other zoning in the area includes single-family and multifamily residential zoning. The state land use designation for the property and the surrounding area to the south is urban, with an area of agricultural designation to the north. The land use pattern allocation guide map designation for the subject property and surrounding area is medium density urban. Here's the applicant's submitted site plan. Access will be taken off of Aloha Kona Drive. Outlined in red is the existing 3-story single-family dwelling where the B&B will be operated. The applicant is proposing 5 on-site parking stalls. 4 stalls will be located on the outside, and the 5th being within the 2-car garage where 1 stall will be for the caretaker and the other stall for the B&B guests. In addition to the parking on the first floor, 3 guest bedrooms and the caretaker's room will be located on the 2nd floor and another guest room on the 3rd floor. Here's an aerial view of the subject property outlined in red. For reference, Aloha Kona Drive runs through the middle of the slide. As you can see, the surrounding uses are largely residential. Here's some site photos. On the left, you see a view of Aloha Kona Drive facing Mauka with the subject property on the left. And on the right, you see a view of Aloha Kona Drive looking Makai with the subject property on the right. Here are some photos of the property and existing dwelling. On the left is a view of the B&B across Aloha Kona Drive. Second. The middle image shows a view of the driveway along the side of the B&B. The image on the right is a closer view of the driveway and parking area toward the rear of the structure. The director is recommending approval with conditions. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you. We have the applicants here.
Yes, the applicants are here.
Okay. I just want to swear in the applicant then to raise your right hand and affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Leeward Planning Commission.
I do. I do.
So, when we know Mr. Pippin, but when you go to speak to, just state your name for us and the town you reside in.
Okay, I'm Roger Jensen and I reside in Holualoa.
Okay, thank you. So, you've received all the background information and recommendations, and everybody is okay with that.
Yes, we appreciate the work on this application as well from the department. We have reviewed carefully the proposed conditions and agree with them. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have some more information for us too?
It was all covered very well by staff's presentation. Thank you very much. This is a fairly straightforward request. An on-site caretaker will be present to manage the house, provides that caretaker housing and employment, alternative visitor experiences, so on and so forth. So we think this fits. This is the historic use of the property, and as yet, it has yet to be regulated as a hosted use. Those bills are still making their way through the review process, but this is the pathway to get this officially recognized and licensed as it currently stands. So that's why we're here.
Thank you. And commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? I have just one quick question, and that is, you have 5 parking stalls on the property. And then if there's more than 5 cars, they just would park on the street? Is that?
On-street parking is not allowed for B&B. So
Okay.
it will be clearly stated for the listing that there's one spot for each
person,
each room.
Each room.
Yeah, so
I see.
the code requires that one spot be provided for each room and
Mhm.
one spot for the dwelling. And we've satisfied that. You know, if I find it probably pretty rare that one room would require more than one car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner De La Cruz.
Just have a quick question. Just looking at your staffing, you mentioned there will be a live-in employee.
Mhm.
Is just one, or you have multiple employees? Or are you going to be outsourcing employees or staffing to do?
Well, one employee.
You have to,
Just one
So
employee.
just one live-in? and then-
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And that's
On-site,
the-
full-time caretaker.
Yeah, thank you.
okay. Commissioner Kanuha, do you have a comment? No, okay, thank you. All right, thank you for your presentation. You can take your seats. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
We do have one public testifier. We have one public testifier on this, and this is Paul Abari. Will you please come forward for us? Thank you, Mr. Abari. Will you just raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth today in front of the Leeward Planning Commission?
I, Paul Aber, swear to tell the whole truth. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, right hand.
All right, you'll just state your name again and the town you live in.
My name is Paul Aber.
Bear. Thank you.
I reside at 75.
You have to speak into this.
I reside at 75-239 Aloha Kona Drive. I am adjacent to the property, and I have had multiple families or people living in that residence that is on the agenda to be proposed from when the house was first built. Okay. I've had problems with funky noises coming from the place
Mhm,
due to whatever the people want to be doing.
mhm,
At the first occasion years ago was when my daughter was a preteen.
mhm,
Within the last 6 months, we've had these noises coming again, and I
mhm.
have my grandchildren now at my house.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's appropriate to have to deal with listening to, I guess I'll
Private.
just come out and say it's acts of sexual conduct.
Okay,
And we have had some drunkenness previously, lately, not so much lately.
mhm,
I have heard that there has been drugs coming out of that house.
mhm,
I'm pretty sure the landlord got rid of those people, which
Mhm.
I really appreciate.
mhm.
I am strictly opposed to having an Airbnb because having different people coming through there all the time will give it potential for more of the problems that we've had to deal with. I've owned my house since 2000.
Mhm.
I've been there forever. I plan to be there forever, and I plan on rebuilding the house so that my kids can stay there forever. Besides that, that's about it. I know, there has been tenants parking up on the side of the road
Mhm.
or cars that are parked on the road. And when they park next to a telephone pole that's adjacent, between the two of our places,
Mhm.
it's difficult getting out of my driveway without having to worry about somebody coming on the road and, having to slam on their brakes because I'm pulling out of my driveway.
Mhm.
So vision gets to be a problem with many vehicles around. And I foresee problems in the future with having an Airbnb there or anywhere within our neighborhood. And I do know I have had my neighbors voice their concerns about that.
Mhm.
I thought they were gonna be here also to come and testify, but I don't see them here right now. But I felt the need to come here and say something because I'm right there. I've had to put blackout curtains on my room, my bedroom windows facing that side because the light from the house shines into the room at night.
Thank you.
So, yes. Any questions for me?
No, but we appreciate your comments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So I'm going to give the applicant a chance to respond to.
Thank you,
cons-
Chair
the
DeFranco, for the
concerns of the
opportunity to
public.
respond. This is the first time we've heard of Mr. Avers, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, objections to the application. So it is news to us that these issues have been ongoing for him, at least to me. There are standard conditions that exist within planning and permits like this to account for good neighbor policies. And I think that would be appropriate. I don't see that included in our 7 proposed conditions, but I think a good neighbor policy as has been standard for other short-term vacation rental uses would help to ameliorate any of these concerns going forward with the neighbors.
So do you think we can put that in as a condition then, or do you think it's not necessary because it's part of getting the license?
I think that,
Can you speak? You've got to speak into this.
I've been involved in the rental business almost all my life, and my goal is to have a 5-star review property. And my wife and I are very skilled at that. We've only owned the place for 2 years, and we have had some problem tenants, but this will be the beginning of a new era for that property.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on this? Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
I have a question. Is it a Ag 5 lot?
That is the legacy zoning, but as is the case with a lot of older subdivisions that were created prior to our zoning being established, it doesn't conform. So the lots are, as stated, much smaller than 5 acres, and that is just kind of a historic accident here.
How big is how big is the lot now?
It's 10,000 or 7,500 square feet.
Yeah.
It's very small.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Neuberg-Hawa.
Thank you, Chair DeFranco. Mr. Jensen, you were saying that you owned the property for 2 years and you have had some tenants that were a problem. Those are long-term tenants that you're talking about?
Yes, we've had some issues.
Please
where
speak
we've
into your
had-
mic because this is
Oh,
being
yes,
recorded.
we've had some issues where we've had to terminate some tenants that were a problem. And, we think we've taken care of that, but this bed and breakfast will create a whole different new environment.
And my understanding is that the maximum amount of time for a person to stay at the bed and breakfast would be 30 days. Is that correct?
That's what
Okay.
we've agreed to.
Okay, and in that 30 days, if they create problems for you, you would be willing to also evict them so that Mr. Abear and the other neighbors would not be bothered then?
Yes, unfortunately, I'd never met him before, so
Okay.
I would definitely. I know there's been problems with some noises coming out of the washout area, and I don't know if that could be possibly the noises he's hearing. I don't know if there's some homeless camps in there
Okay.
making
Thank you very
noise or
much.
whatever.
If I could just add
Thank you,
another,
Mr.
another
Burnett.
comment, please.
Yeah.
It's standard practice for the planning department with permits like this and just generally to receive complaints from the public and to investigate those complaints. And that process would also apply here, such that if there are complaints, they would be investigated and potentially result in the termination of this permit.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Excuse me. So I'm just going to close public testimony. You guys can take your seats and
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Were you going to make a motion then?
Yes, I'm prepared.
Okay,
I move that the application for use permit docket number PLUSE 2024-000-025 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
thank you. I need a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. So I have a motion on the floor, moved by Commissioner Ao and seconded by Commissioner Noborikawa. So is there any discussion about?
Yes,
this?
Madam Chair, I have something,
Yes.
a comment to make.
Excuse me.
You know, I appreciate Mr. Aver coming and coming forward from the public. You know, it's important for us commissioners to know what's going on in the past. You know, too bad there wasn't any more public testimony, like Mr. Aver said, that his neighbors were gonna come. But I do appreciate Mr. Jensen purchasing the property and making a better place. So I'm hoping moving forward, like Mr. Jensen said, that he's gonna make it a better experience for the surrounding neighbors and the adjacent property, Mr. Aver. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ao.
I
Commissioner
agree with what
Noborikawa.
Commissioner Ao has said about that. And with, you know, the discussion that we had with Mr. Jensen in terms of him being willing to make things right if there is a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners that want to comment? Okay. Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Rodriguez.
He was
Oh.
first. Huh?
Please speak into the mic.
Yes, you know, to me, it's a concern, you know, for the neighbors, you know, because it's a small lot, you know, if they would downsize the, you know, maybe a smaller number of guests, you know, that might be you know, okay with me, but, you know, having so many guests right now, I think it's not adequate. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Dunn.
You know, this is a unique situation because currently, I'm sure you're aware, the council is initiating bills. One of them to create what we call hosted vacation rentals. And another one is to repeal the bed and breakfast ordinance. So if those bills pass, there will no longer be a bed and breakfast particular operation that you can apply for a permit. So these applications coming before you, or if those bills pass, will be some of the last that we'll see. The difference between the two is that there is a section in the zoning code 2547 that speaks to bed and breakfast. There isn't a good neighbor policy as stated in there. It just talks about the parameters of how many people, you know, that it has to be subordinate to the primary use of the residence. It talks about serving breakfast, those kind of things, but it doesn't have like the detail that is in the new ordinance coming up for the good neighbor policy that deals with issues addressing neighbors, like it has quiet hours at night. It says you cannot do these types of events like weddings and having parties and things like that. It also, when we issue these types of permits to these, right now we have what are called unhosted. We issue a placard, and on that placard, it has a contact number that somebody, a neighbor or somebody, can reach out to that person and say, hey, there's issues going on. Can you please talk to, address those issues? I would suggest in this case, not so much a condition, but if the applicant could share a contact number for the operator to the neighbor, so that if there are any issues, that the neighbor can contact the operator and just say, hey, your guys are making a lot of noise. The nice thing about this is that there is an on-site operator. So there is somebody there that's going to manage it. The difficulty we have with the unhosted, there isn't anybody there. It's like, who do you call, right? People call the police when they start getting out of hand, instead of calling that number on the placard and stuff. But I just wanted to mention those differences and the fact of what we're going through right now in the council with bed and breakfast and hosted transient accommodation rentals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Au, do we want to put a condition on this? Because I just heard Mr. Darrow say that there isn't a description of a good neighbor policy on the way it currently is.
So I have a question for Mr. Darrow. So if we do put a condition, how would the condition be stated? Because if we just say it's a good neighbor condition, we also have to state the details of it. So what would you recommend?
Well, I'm not recommending to put in a good neighbor policy, because you're right. That's going to be, right now, the good neighbor policy in the TAR bill is the parameters are from A through H. There's quite a number, but a lot of those parameters are addressed in the bed and breakfast, like on-site parking and making sure so many people are in the residence and those kind of things. But again, I would just suggest not even a condition, but just the fact that the applicant reach out to the neighbor and provide them with a contact number of the operator, so that if there is an issue, they can contact somebody.
Excuse me. Yes.
I would just want to add, a condition like that could be problematic from in terms of enforcement, because the commission can't legislate law. But we would, hope that there are concerns to get along peacefully with your neighbors when operating your bed and breakfast, and that it would be an aspirational request, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Corporation Counsel, for chiming in. And, I'm kind of on the same page. I don't think it's necessary. I think from what the property was before to what is being proposed now is way better. There's more regulations, there's more safeguards. The public can actually file a complaint and action can be taken faster than other ways, than how it was priorly being rented out as a long-term vacation rental. So I hold my motion as stated.
Thank you. Commissioner Norbert Carla.
I have a question for Mr. Darrow. In the bed and breakfast section that you just mentioned, is there a specific requirements in terms of quiet hours?
This would be in chapter 25, section 4.7. And I can bring that up real quick. Let's see here. So unfortunately, in our bed and breakfast code right now, there is no mention regarding quiet hours. It's more specific as to the overall function of the bed and breakfast, but not to the detail of speaking about hours of quiet hours, those kind of things.
Okay, thank you. So your suggestion that Mr. Jensen talk with his neighbors and give them specific information for the on-site caretaker is basically the way that he would be operating then.
Normally, that's not even a condition or
Yeah,
a
I mean, but it
consideration.
would be something, we can't legislate it.
Right.
It's
right.
just gonna be,
It's
have to
just
be
a
something between
suggestion.
neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
good neighbors.
The difficulty too is that, in the past, they've tried to make the planning department the enforcers of like noise. And we can't do that. We don't have the ability. We suggest that if that becomes an issue, it gets out unruly or out of hand, they call the police. But normally, we as a planning department, in fact, I can't even recall a complaint ever being received from a B&B operation in regards to a complaint of they having unruly members or anything. We have had complaints for unhosted vacation rentals, and that's why I think they were a lot more detailed in the good neighbor policy. But normally, having that on-site owner or operator there, people are, that's a deterrent from them getting crazy, right? They have some,
Monitoring.
somebody, right? They don't want to mess up their stay there, but thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to comment?
I think Mr. Darrow covered it. I mean,
Okay, thank you.
the standards for STVR use in 23.5 could be applied, but that is, of course, up to
Thank you. Okay.
the commission. Thank you.
All right, so if we don't have any other comments, we're going to go for, I need a motion. We have a motion, so now we just need a vote. So we're calling for a roll call vote, please.
Okay, the motion is to approve as recommended by planning director. Moved by Commissioner Ao and seconded by Commissioner Noborikawa. Commissioner Ao,
Aye.
Commissioner Noborikawa,
I,
Commissioner Dela Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kanuha, Commissioner Rodriguez,
Aye.
Chair DeFranco.
Aye.
Motion carries with 6 ayes and 1 excused absent.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. You'll be notified the commission's decision in writing. Yeah, we're going to take a 15-minute break. unless they're new. Oh, where am I? All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to begin the reconvene the Leeward Planning Commission. And we're going to introduce agenda items 3 and 4. The commission, we're going to take up agendas items 3 and 4 together, but we're going to call for separate motions for action. Okay? All right. Agenda item number 3, applicant Kelvin P. Jarnensky, PLSLU 2024-000009, application for a state land use boundary amendment from agricultural to a rural state land use boundary designation for 1.977 acres of land. The subject property is located at 64-5208 Alana Nui Ohana Place at the northeast corner of its intersection with Mamalahoa Highway, Pu'ukapu Homestead, Second Series, South Kahala, Hawaii, TMK 3, 6-4-017001. And agenda item number 4, applicant Kelvin P. Jurinsky, PLREZ 2024-000060, application for a change of zone state from agricultural 40 acres zoning district to a residential agricultural 0.5 acre zoning district for 1.997 acres of land. The subject property is located at 64-5208 Alana Nui Ohana Place at the northeast corner of its intersection with Mamalahoa Highway, portion Pu'ukapu Homestead, Second Series, South Kahala, Hawaii, TMK 3, 6-4-017001. So we're going to have a staff presentation, PowerPoint by Ms. Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. As you stated, this is for Kelvin P. Jarneski, and it's a state land use and rezone combined application. The location map here shows the subject property. It's shown in red there, kind of in the center of the slide, and it's to the east of the town of Waimea. The applicant is requesting a state land use boundary amendment from an agricultural to a rural district and a change of zone from an agricultural 40 acre to a residential agricultural half acre, zoning designation for 1.997 acres of land. If the requested land use entitlement changes are approved, the applicant proposes to immediately subdivide the property into 2 lots consisting of 1/2 acre and just less than 1 1/2 acres in size. And subsequently, the applicant intends on subdividing a 3rd lot and conveying 1 lot to a family member. The county zoning map here shows you the property outlined in red. And you can see, you know what, I'm going to need to pause and grab my glasses because I'm realizing that I can't see all of the slides. So can we just take a short technical
Do you need
break?
glasses? You want some?
No, I have some. Just a
Okay.
minute.
You know, I had to stop on the way. I forgot someone buy some reading glasses. I realized I didn't have any in my purse. Oh, no. Mrs. Magoo. Get here with it. Much better.
Sorry about that. I think my sight has gotten worse. So now I can see. So the property is outlined in red, and you can see that the property zoning is agricultural 40 acres. And most of the properties surrounding it are also agricultural, with some residential single-family dwelling zoning here. The state land use designation is agricultural, as is most of the property surrounding it. Sorry, catch my breath here. And the LUPAG designates the property rural. The subject property is designated here. And you can see that it's actually doesn't have a specific designation in the CDP. You can see that the aerial photograph shows the property. It has a single-family dwelling that's existing on the property. The site plan shows the single-family dwelling is in the upper left-hand side of the slide, and the property is located on Mamalahoa Highway. The site photos show that the property is here on the corner of Mamalahoa Highway and a private road. This is a view of Mamalahoa Highway looking east, and this is the view of Mamalahoa Highway looking west. And the property here is shown on the upper right, and it's located on Ala Nui Ohana Place. This is looking north, and this is looking south. And this is the intersection of Ala Nui Ohana Place and Mamalahoa Highway. And the planning director's recommendation is for both of the applications to forward a favorable recommendation to the county council for both the state land use and for the rezone. And I'll hand it back to the chair.
Thank you. So now we have a staff, oh, that was it. The applicant want to come forward and. Good day. Just get you to raise your right hand and swear to affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Leeward Planning Commission. I do. Turn your mic on.
I do.
Okay, now, and when you talk, speak directly into the mic and state your name and the town you reside in and whom you represent.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Sidney Fouquet. I'm a planning consultant. I've been saying this for quite some time, soon to retire, but still around. Gotta help people like him. Calvin Jerneski is the applicant. Calvin with a K, not a C. He's a Gila boy, but he spent quite a bit of time now. Mr. Jerneski, Calvin Jerneski. We've both had a chance to review the staff's report, the background recommendations for both the state land use boundary amendment to rural as well as the rezoning to R8.5, and then we've reviewed the conditions intimately and then found them to be acceptable. We appreciate the staff's consideration of one specific condition specifically. This relates to the fair share requirement. Normally, the fair share requirement, exempts existing dwelling, but we had asked them to please consider the fact that he already has a entitlement for a second dwelling, and so as a result, when you start with a third dwelling, then at that point in time, the fair share requirement would kick in. The concept of the project is no different than Ms. Wadi Green's project. That is to say, it's primarily a family-oriented subdivision. Mr. Jerneski has 3 children, and his ultimate intent is to carve out the nearly 2-acre property into 4 lots and eventually convey 1 to each. He already lives on the property. He had a building permit issued for an additional farm dwelling right in the back of that, but somehow that permit got expired, and so he's in the process of reapplying for that. He already has a second water meter on it. So his original plan, his plan right now is, if approved, is to initially create a 2-lot subdivision. And then eventually, when he has sufficient resources, to carve the larger property into an additional lot for one of his other children. Currently, the property is not really used in terms of active agriculture, but it's still agricultural by definition, because he has what he considers like heirloom chicken or heirloom hen and roosters going on the property. So that he intends to maintain as long as, as long as it's possible. We haven't received any complaints from the surrounding property owners. All of the environmental issues have been addressed. It's in Zone X. From a flooding standpoint, the State Historic Preservation Division did not have any adverse objections to the project. So over and beyond that, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions for the presenters or for the staff? No, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I don't believe there's any public testimony. So you may take your seats then.
Thank you.
So we're looking now for a motion for action. We have to do one at a time.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Al?
I'm prepared to make a motion. Thank you. I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on application for state land use boundary amendment, docket number PL/SLU 2024-00009, based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Second.
Second. Okay, so we have by Commissioner Au and seconded by Commissioner Kanuha. Is there any discussion? No discussion, no questions. Okay, let's vote then. Please roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Au,
Aye.
Commissioner Kanuha,
Aye.
Commissioner De La Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Noborikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Chair DeFranco.
Aye,
So the motion passes with 6 votes.
thank you. And now we need another motion for action, please.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Au.
I move that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council on the application for change of zone, docket number PLREZ 2024-00060, based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Second.
Seconded. So Commissioner Au and Commissioner Kanuha, first and second. We need
Thank you.
any discussion then?
Yeah, could I just make a comment?
Yes.
I appreciate the applicant coming forward and trying to keep our keiki here on the island. I wish I was one of Mr. Jarneski's kids. And get a piece of property and build a house in Waimea. And I really admire that. And it inspires me to try and give back to my kids and keep my kids here. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no further discussion. We're going to go for a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner Au,
Aye.
Commissioner Kanuha,
Aye.
Commissioner De La Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Noborikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Chair DeFranco.
Aye,
The motion passes with 6 votes.
thank you. You will be notified in writing. Thank you so much. So going on to new business, we're going to have agenda item number 5, and this is the applicant Jian Zhang, PLSPP 2024-000068. This is an application for a special permit to establish a 2-bedroom bed and breakfast establishment within an existing single-family dwelling on 1,547 square foot portion of an approximately 5.287 acre parcel of land in the State Land Use Agricultural District. The subject property is located at 73-1955 Howe Street, Unit A, approximately 3,376 feet east of its intersection with Coloco Drive, portion Coloco Malka subdivision increment 2, Coloco North Kona, Hawaii, TMK 3, 7-3-026-023-001. So we have a staff presentation PowerPoint from Mr. Kala. Thank you.
Mahalo, Chair. Little technical difficulty. Mahalo. As the chair stated, this is an application for a special permit. The subject property is located in the North Kona district of Hawaii Island, more specifically in the Coloco Moka subdivision at the end of Howe Street. The applicant's request is to have a special permit for a two-bedroom bed and breakfast establishment within an existing ohana dwelling on a 1,547 square foot portion of a 20.029 acre parcel of land. The property is part of a condominium property regime and consists of 3 CPR units. CPR Unit 1 is owned by the applicant and consists of 5.287 acres of land. There are 3 permitted dwellings on the property: a first farm dwelling, an additional farm dwelling, and an ohana dwelling. The applicant owns the ohana dwelling where they intend to operate the B&B. The applicant will reside in one of the bedrooms within the ohana dwelling. The applicant's objective is to generate supplemental income during the times her family members are away. The income will help offset the increasing cost of living, pay for her children's tuition, and home improvements. Here's the county zoning map. Again, for reference, the subject property outlined in red is located at the end of Howe Street. The subject property is zoned agricultural 20 acres as indicated by the dark green color. Other zoning in the area is agricultural. Thank you. Other zoning in the area is agricultural with varying minimum lot sizes. The state land use designation for the property and the surrounding area is agricultural. The land use pattern allocation guide map designation for the subject property and surrounding area is important agricultural lands. Here's an aerial photo of the subject property. For reference, Howe Street is located on the left side of the slide. As previously stated, the property is subject to 3 CPR units. The approximate area of CPR unit 1 is being shown by the arrow on the screen. Is approximately around this area right here. The ohana dwelling, I'm sorry, can you go back, please? The ohana dwelling is located within CPR Unit 1 and is where the proposed B&B will be. Here's the applicant's submitted site plan, again with general location of CPR 1, as noted by these dashed lines here. Access is taken off of Howe Street along a shared driveway leading to the ohana dwelling, which is indicated by the red arrow. This is the applicant's submitted floor plan, showing the 2 guest rooms and associated parking outlined in blue, and the owner's bedroom and parking area outlined in purple. Here are some site photos showing a view of the driveway. In the left image is a view of the driveway from House Street, looking south with the subject property on the left-hand side. And in the image on the right is another view of the driveway intersecting House Street facing north with the subject property on the right-hand side. Here are a few more site photos. The image on the left is a view of the front of the dwelling facing Mauka, and the image on the right is the proposed parking area. The director is recommending approval with conditions, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you. I don't think there's any questions at this time, so we're going to ask the applicant to come forward, please. Hi.
Hello.
Aloha. I ask you to raise your right hand and swear to affirm the truth today in front of the Leeward Planning Commission.
Yes,
Yes, and please just state your name and the town you live in.
my name's Jian Zhang, and I live on 73-1955 House Street, Unit A, Kalao Kona. And I'm representing myself.
And you've received all of the background information and all the recommendations from the planning department, and you agree with the recommendations,
Yes,
include all the proposed conditions also?
yes.
Yes, okay. Do you have some information or anything further you want to share with us?
Sure. I'm a little bit nervous, but
Okay.
yeah, so I want to try my best to be a good citizen, both to the county government and to my neighbors. And from hearing from the previous discussion on the previous application, I want to just show the committee a few things that I was planning to do or how I feel like being a good neighbors. First of all is like, my home is at a place that we are pretty sparsely located, like I'm 200 feet from my closest neighbor. And also at my house, I also have external security cameras, like I have 5 of them. And I also have a noise. I don't have it yet, but I also plan to have a noise monitor. It's only monitor the noise volume. I cannot hear what they say, but I know that I plan to have that. If the noise level go beyond like 60 or 70, they will alert, like even though I will be on site, but I also have some ways of like keeping everything under control. And the other thing that I do plan to do is that I will, even though it's not required by the regulation, I do plan to, like in my future, like listing, I will say our quiet hours is from like 9 to 8. So if a guest book with me, they already agree with my house rules. So that's another measure. So again, I want to show the committee that I do want to be a good neighbor and good citizen, and I do plan to have multiple things in place to help this from, like, to be a good citizen. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Commissioner Kanuha?
I have a question for Mr. Darrow. And I would say maybe court counsel. If this is approved, does it go into approval because there is an unpermitted basement that's in here that hasn't been permitted yet, similar to getting any final approval with moving forward? That's a question I asked. I saw that was in there. So there's an unfinished basement in the report. Or unpermitted basement, which the permits are in the process. So that's a question for us here.
Is it unpermitted or is it in process?
Unpermitted said.
Oh, Well, I mean, we can add a condition that within a year that they apply and receive approval. We've done that in the past with particular. I apologize, this actually was an application I didn't review. I'm just taking care, but we've had this similar situation happen in the past where portions of a application's request has unpermitted portions, and we just again, our goal is compliance. So
Yes.
we put in a condition that within a period of time, they come in, get a permit and get it final. So we can add that.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that was my question. I just
Yeah.
was curious on if that triggers that coming in or
No,
whether,
no
how it
problem.
looks.
Yeah,
No
not a
problem.
problem
Okay.
at all. I would like to take a minute if that's okay. I just want to commend our applicant here, Mrs. Song. You don't see this very often where an applicant takes on this process. And so it's really good to see somebody, say, well, I'm going to try to do this on my own. We hear from people all the time saying, oh, you've made the process so difficult that we have to go hire somebody and pay thousands of dollars. And, understandably, some people choose that process, but people can do it. And we as a department try to be flexible and help them along that process. Sometimes we come across difficult areas that maybe make it more, tough, but I just want to commend Mrs. Zong. The other thing I want to mention that you might have seen or not seen, this is a very unique property. It's in Coloco-Malca. It's 20 acres. It's zoned Ag 20, and they have 3 dwellings, right? And you're like, okay, that's okay. But then you hear about this CPR, right? It's been condominiumized. And there was a point in time prior to the subdivision code changing that this was an allowed practice in the agricultural zone. And quite a number of properties in Coloco-Malca came in and CPR'd their property to 1 or 2 units. Later on in life, when the subdivision code basically said, you got to comply with this subdivision code for CPRs, which means you need minimum lot size. So in this case, you would have to have 3 20-acre lots to create a 3-unit CPR. Can't be done. But what can happen in the future, and some of the CPRs have done this, they've come in and they've rezoned to separate, to get their own fee ownership, right? So we've seen that. And it looks like the neighbor to this property did that as well, because they have this unique zoning of Ag 7, right? And I'm sure it was to try to figure out how they were going to fit their units in. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up to your attention if you hadn't seen that or were wondering what was going on there. So the other question is, well, what happens if the other guys want to come in, right? It's like, is that a possibility? We had talked earlier about the fact that B&Bs may be repealed shortly. So, but if that wasn't the case, it says in the code that you can have 5 bedrooms and you can utilize different structures on the property. This particular B&B has 2 bedrooms. So if the first dwelling wanted to do a 3-bedroom B&B, they possibly could. Unfortunately, the third dwelling, the additional farm dwelling, has strict conditions regarding agricultural use and that connection. So they would not be able to do that. But moving forward, there is going to be, again, the possibility of having hosted rentals. And so the other dwelling could consider a hosted rental as part of it. But again, not the additional farm dwelling. Even in the new bill, that's yeah. So I just wanted to touch upon that in case you had those questions. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. can I ask you a question about, I'll do it in a minute. Yeah. No, it's okay. I'll wait. Okay, so are there any more questions or?
Would the testifier, can I have a question towards the testifier? I mean, towards the applicant, I'm sorry. Ms. Song? Aloha. Would you be open to having that condition to clear up that unpermitted basement with the timeline? I would say a year would be a stretch, just knowing what our permitting process takes right now. Maybe put a two-year compliancy on there to where you can get that cleaned up and you have your unit as a fully permitted unit.
Yes, so I bought the property with the unpermitted basement. And at the time, I did do some research on like why it's different.
Yeah.
But then I see the drawing on the property tax system. I see on the property tax record, there is like it's saying is a finished basement. So I thought that means that the county actually recognized this. So it's actually in this application process, and you told me that it's actually not permitted. So I was very surprised. But Alu and I was talking about this. And by the way, Alu is my hero. He helped me do 7 revision on the application. I think is really like I cannot do it without Alu. But coming back to this, like Alu and I discussed about this. I'm fully. I want to like do everything legally. I want to do everything correctly. If you allow me like 1 or 2 year, 2 year preferably, since it's a significant cost too. Just asking, I ask for price, but like just starting the process, having an engineer draw the drawing and then start the application is a whole another process, both time-wise and money-wise. So yes, I will do it.
Thank you. Thank you. And such as Jeff recognized, we commend you for coming in front of here and representing yourself and coming and doing this process. And especially with the quiet neighbor and, the parameters you want to put in on your property to be a good neighbor. That's amazing. So we commend you for that and thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the applicant. You reading your letter or your summary, you're aware that you need to convert your wastewater system, right? From cesspool to septic tank. And I understand you're exploring options on that.
That's another huge cost, frankly. And I look at the water map and I also like discuss with my neighbors. So one of my neighbors in the CPR did do the conversion. And then I shopped around and it's coming down to close to 20K to do the conversion. So it is another cost factor, but I do understand the environmental impact. But like we are like high up in the Coloco Mountain, and like I understand now I understand the concept of the difference between the cesspool and septic tank. But if you can allow me like time, like since we're so far up, and then like the impact, like even for the county zoning is saying like our area is lower priority, is not a huge priority to the conversion. And also the cost is so high. So my personal gut feeling, if I need to prioritize, I want to prioritize the permitting, officially permitting the lower level over cesspool. But I'm not an expert, and I can definitely take the committee's like suggestion.
Okay, thank you for being here.
Are there any more questions? No. Thank you. Thank you. You can take a seat. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to do a motion for action so we can discuss, please.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Au?
I move that application for special permit docket PL SPP 2024-00068 be approved based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So first by Commissioner Ao and a second by Commissioner Noborikawa. So now we can discuss.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So I appreciate the applicant coming forward. Like Mr. Darrow said, it's challenging to navigate this process, any process through the planning department, and someone that comes forward and wants to do it on their own. And the applicant has found out that there's costs that she didn't expect. And it is cumbersome, and a lot of our local residents and people that live here are just trying to make it a go. And so I support this application. I support the applicant on what they're doing.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, I support this also. I was thinking though, the conversions, isn't there a year that they have to be converted by?
I think Mr. Darrow can give us the
My
information.
understanding in the language is that if required by DOH. And the unique thing about bed and breakfast operations is you folks are the approving authority. Normally, they don't go in for a permit to DOH. That may change if she goes in for the permit for the unfinished basement.
Yeah.
And so that might be a trigger at that point. So it really isn't something for us to worry about as far as us requiring it. But it's like, I do agree that we should put a time frame on the unfinished basement to come in and get it permitted. But I'm thinking maybe 3 years and then put an administrative time extension in case she has real difficult time, or even longer if you folks feel about that. And then we can also grant an administrative time extension for a period not to exceed that if she's having a tough time on that at that point. But that's a suggestion.
And I believe we'll have 5 years till 2030 when everybody needs to change over from that. So it's gonna be,
Yeah.
it'll be law.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion on the floor, a new motion.
Okay, well,
Amend
first
that.
we have a motion on the floor.
So I'm willing to entertain any amendments for my motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Kanuha.
Such as Jeff touched on, I believe that 3-year with a administrative timeline, time extension, that would be sufficient enough, especially for taking care of the unpermitted section of this property.
Very good.
And I think that it should coincide with this special use.
So for clarity, it would be a 3-year. We would craft a condition that say that the applicant has 3 years to final the unfinished basement, and then we'll add in the additional the administrative time extension condition. You got that, Christian?
If I understood correctly, I can spitball some language here. The applicant shall finalize permits for the construction of the unfinished basement within 3 years of the effective date of the permit.
Yeah, and then we'll add in the administrative.
We have an admin time extension on this one already, I think. Or
Don't
we
think so.
we do
There's
not.
time conditions.
Okay, thank you. So there will be a admin time extension condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes, so I'm willing to amend my original motion with that language.
to include the new condition. And would you please reread the new condition for us?
Yeah, the applicant shall secure final approvals for the completion of the unfinished basement within 3 years of the effective date of the permit. And then there will be another condition added, which is our standard administrative time extension condition.
Okay. There's a second?
Second.
Okay, good. All right, so we now have any more discussion on this, or we're all good with this so we can?
Can
Yes.
we explain that to the applicant?
Yes.
And if she's okay with it?
Yes, we've added a new condition then of a 3-year time period to finish the final building permit for the basement. With that condition, with an administrative extension if it was a hardship time. Okay, so the administrative condition just means that if 3 years went by and and it wasn't done because you had a hardship, then they could extend the time longer
Oh,
for
got it,
another 3 years. So they would extend it again for you.
got it. Appreciate that.
Okay, so you're good with this
Yes.
condition. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Au.
I support my motion with the amendment. I appreciate the applicant agreeing to it, and I think it'll help offset future potential costs for the applicant. If the conversion has to be made, it could potentially be made financially and in time with that 3 years.
Okay. So without any other discussion, then we will call for a roll call vote.
Okay, I'll take this over. This is a motion to approve the permit as amended. Commissioner Au,
Aye.
Commissioner Noborikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Dela Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Kanuha,
Aye.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Chair DeFranco.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion carries with 6 aye votes, 1 excused.
Thank you. You will be notified in writing also. Thank you for coming. So, agenda item 6 was initiated by the planning director. And this was an ordinance to amend chapter 25, article 2, article 4, article 5, article 7 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, 2016 edition as amended, relating to telecommunication antennas and towers. The purpose is to remove the requirement for a use permit and special permit to establish telecommunication antennas and towers in certain zoning districts. Add application requirements, amend standards for the establishment of telecommunication antennas and towers. But as the initiator of item 6, the planning director has requested to defer this item to a future meeting date. Therefore, this item is deferred. However, we will hear public testimony if there's anyone here that wishes to testify on the agenda item. But seeing nobody is here to do that, nobody is on Zoom to do that.
Chair, we have a Leila Baga signed up, but she has not come into the meeting. But she is the wireless policy group on behalf of Verizon. So I'm not sure if she's part of the applicant, but she signed up, but she did not show up to the meeting.
She was made aware of the deferral, and so
Yes.
likely she'll attend next time.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other Zoom testifiers for this item.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. So the other agenda item number 7 was a planning commission training. And as initiator of this item, number 7, the Deputy Corporation Counsel for the Leeward Planning Commission has requested to take this item off the agenda. So that is done. So now we're at Planning Director's report. The report on special management, the SMA determinations and minor permits issued by the planning director for the month of July 2024. And this was distributed via email. Do any of the commissioners have any questions on the SMA report? Seeing no questions, do we have any commissioners see any agenda items for the next meeting that they would like to agendize? Commissioner Kanuha.
I just have a question in regards to our first testifier today. What was he speaking on, and if is that?
We're going to take that up in another time. We've not had time to read what he was speaking of or anything, but thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. The announcements, the Leeward Planning Commission next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th, 2024. Here in the County Council chambers in Kona, and the public can also testify via Zoom. The date and venue of the meeting are subject to change. Does the staff have any other announcements?
Nothing in addition. We have tentatively scheduled that telecommunications bill for the next hearing, along with 3 other items.
Thank you. So if there's no further business, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second, please.
Second.
And seconded. It was moved by Commissioner Kanuha and seconded by Commissioner Noborikawa to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None. This meeting is adjourned at 11:25.
Just in time for him to go get some lunch.
The closed captions transcript will be terminated shortly, and those who wish to save the transcript should do so now.